God bless you all. Thank you for being with us on tonight. We are laughing because that's our relationship. We tend to have fun, laugh. So this is going to be lighthearted because it is a very heavy subject. Talking tonight about contending for your sons. So fighting for your sons. So tonight I am honored to have my son, my uh,
It's me. Oh,
huh?
I said that's me.
Well, that's me. My namesake here with me tonight. Um, Former Marine, served in the U.S. Military. We appreciate your service. Just celebrated Veterans Day. Thank you. And so, yeah, hi, introduce yourself.
uh, all right. Nobody told me what to say, so I just say what I'm thinking. All right. Anywho, my name is Gregory Toliver Jr. I am 24 years of age. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've known this man all my life. So I don't know. I've served 4 years in the Marine Corps. I'm currently teaching in Aurora, and yeah.
Well, thank you for coming. We definitely appreciate you. So, let's get into it because we're not going to keep you long. All right. So, in Proverbs 22, it says, verse 6, it says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, he will not depart from it. When you hear that scripture, what comes to mind?
I believe. Well, so when you're a kid, you pick up on things consciously and subconsciously. So just putting the right things in front of your children, so when they grow up, they have that in the back of their mind. Whether it's on purpose or by accident, what we put in front of our kids is um, they could have a lasting effect. So just building a environment and building the habits of success for their tomorrow is what I think about when I hear that.
I like that the building part because I wanted to talk about the foundation of fatherhood. So the Bible tells us in Ephesians, he says that fathers do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So, as you were saying, it's about the foundation that we lay before our children because according to the foundation, just like a building, just according to the foundation, it determines how high the structure can go. And in life, it determines how far the person can go.
Right.
Yes, you can overcome. Yes, you can you can outlive some of the experiences, but foundation means everything. So when you have, speaking of foundation, um, just in case you're saying, well, you know what, my father wasn't there, I didn't have a good foundation. I understand. So what happens when a building doesn't have a good foundation is you dig it up.
Mhm.
I remember because Wisconsin, Milwaukee in particular, is actually, from what I understand, is built on like a forest, not a forest, but what is the waterland called? So basically, it's an unstable ground.
Right. Right.
They built the city on top of it, and so because of that, in Milwaukee, we have a lot of shifting that happens. I remember as a kid, my parents telling me a couple times, I was like, "Doesn't it look like the
Mhm.
TV is?"
It's a little savage.
And they was like, "Well, the house is settling." So as I got older and I became a homeowner, I had a guy come out and he told me simply, he said, Tolliver, we're gonna have to dig up parts of the foundation and lay it again. So point being, for those of you that are saying, listen, I didn't have a father there or he wasn't very active in my life, listen, God is able to be that father for you, and the Bible lays out who He is for us. And in essence, you want to dig up that because like you said, and I'll admit it, as a father, as a new father, I didn't know a lot of things. As an old father, no, I didn't know a lot of things. So, uh, a lot of times we say like, parenting doesn't come with instructions.
Hmm.
And you being a new father can attest to that as well. But you can dig up that foundation and lay it again. So, so this is the foundation. Do you believe that now? I know you're talking to me, and it's about me. Uh, but do you believe that you were given a good foundation?
Well, if we've been honest, no, I'm joking. No, I believe that the foundation was set, and it was a firm foundation, and a good building off and jumping off point. I believe that obviously there was in any situation, any relationship, stuff like that. There was always there's always shaky things, but like you said, it takes some time to reevaluate. What's the word? Uh, Renovate. And when you're able to really get to the bone and the bare bone of things, you realize, hey, you know what, I did that wrong. You know, and our relationship through the years is definitely has been. There's been some times where we take a step back and like, hey, what's going on? And that's another reason why I always appreciate the dynamic of our relationship because not only can you tell me about myself, which is obvious, but you're always open for criticism as well. So I believe that the building the ground foundation from I can't say day one because I wasn't really there. You know what I mean? But uh, from the first time I can remember, there was always the point of where, all right, let's reflect. What's going on? Things like that. There was always an open door policy. In other words, so I believe that the foundation was, for the most part, especially through my high school years. That's when things definitely took another level. Not even just on the father and son relationship, but more so as a friend and a mentor relationship because not only was it, I mean, it was just me and you most of the time. So during that time, there was plenty of conversations, and because of that, and because of the openness, there was a renewing of the foundation.
All right, I like it. So I will say this, and just want to encourage those of you who are fathers, are going to be fathers, new fathers. You have a few children, all of that kind of stuff. Whatever the dynamic is, it is never too late to reassess the foundation, and maybe you have to excavate it. You may have to do it over, but don't be afraid of it. I will say this is that, you know, thankfully, by the time we got to you, I knew a few things. Not perfect, but I knew a few things. So thank you, Olivia and Ashley, for being the crash test. No, but there are things that you learn along the way that you, what you don't realize is that the people around you really do shape your life. Um, and so my parenting style for years was shaped by those that were around me.
Right.
And so that's all I had to offer. All I had to give is what I had, good, bad, and the ugly. But as I grew and stayed open to change
Hmm.
and to the opportunity to be moved as the Spirit led, I went from not just being emotionally led because that's easy. That's easy.
Hmm.
You can be emotionally driven as a father. or as a person, period, but to be led by the Spirit, that takes on a whole nother dynamic. If in fact if you're going to contend for your sons, you have to be led by the Spirit of God. And I know we don't want to make it sound, oh, it's so spiritual and so spooky spiritual or whatever the case is. Let's just be honest about it. We don't know the way. We
Right.
just don't know the way. So Proverbs tells us, in all your ways to
Acknowledge
acknowledge
him,
Him, and He
and He'll
will.
direct
The
your path.
Lord will
Yes,
direct your
sir.
path. I didn't come to preach, but I feel like
I know
that.
it.
Because because I know now that this is very important. This is very vital because what I impart in you, you impart in your daughter, and as a teacher, you impart it into the next generation.
Right.
So it either can be something that is going to be influential as far as in a good way. The influence can be good or bad.
Right.
It can be in a good way, which catapults others to do better, or it could be venomous, where it could poison the system and harm other generations. And far too long, we have been dishonest with ourselves. And this is something that I've done, I'm going to do it publicly an example for fathers. When I recognized that I was wrong, or that I mishandled you, or I, I, I led you as best as I knew, but it was definitely the wrong road. I apologize. And so the same thing. You can apologize now. You can bridge the gap now. It is not too late. As long as there's breath in your body and God is giving you another day, He's giving you another chance. Amen, somebody. All right. So let's go to this. Let's go to this. What are some of the challenges that you face as a son and as a man? The Bible tells us that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but mighty through God. So in spiritual warfare, and I've taught you through your age. At times you didn't know this is me teaching you about spiritual warfare, about praying and fasting and actually trusting God. So, what are some of the challenges that you faced growing up?
Um, I think the biggest part, and I'm not gonna give you too much on this because I've so the reason why I said that is because I've been writing about the trust in the process because there's times in even there's times in religion where you get to a point, well, not even religion because that's it's more about the relationship with God is being you have to be okay with being the passenger. And sometimes, I mean, it's like, hey, you sure we going? I don't know. I mean, the GPS is saying this, but it's like, okay, all right, I'm gonna trust you. But while you're trusting, what are you actually doing? And that's really where one of the bigger problems that through my previous situation, my previous process, it took some time to be okay with the process. Um, it's okay to be in the waiting room. When you're at the doctor, they're not going to see you immediately. So when you're there, you have to. Okay, so I'm already here. I'm already getting the help I need. I just have to wait a little longer. And while I'm waiting, am I just sitting there contemplating, anxious about what they're going to say, or am I everything's going to be all right because I'm already where I'm supposed to be. So that was one of the bigger problems that I had in recent history. But like I said, like even with the father and son relationship, it took some time where I was like, I don't really know about this one, but I mean, all right, we'll see, and I'll never like, and one thing that you show me as well is you don't correct in public, and that helped me a lot in my high school. years because it helped me with my confidence. You know, being cut down publicly can affect you for a long term. So uh, knowing that I had somebody in my corner that's like, hey, I would have did this like that, but if you're going to do it like fix the way that you do it differently, not hey, just don't do it. It's like, all right, if you're gonna do it, because I know you know you want to do it so bad. This is how this is how you should do it. And just having somebody in your ear, it's just like boxing. Sometimes they you get hit with something you weren't expecting, but your coach in the corner is going to tell you, hey, next time this happens, slip it, do this, do that, so for next round. So just trusting that process and being okay with the wait.
That's good. I was looking because there's safety in the multitude of counsel.
Right.
So that again, here's Proverbs again. Proverbs 11. Uh, it says, "Where no counsel is, the people fall
All
or
right.
fail.
Yep.
The people fail."
Yes, sir.
Um, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
Hmm.
So it happens. It does. One thing you brought up is something that's good, especially for men, and this is just a message for the women in our lives and women, period. Is that to be careful. Men, that whole judging or correcting brothers
Hmm.
well, I don't know about any other race of
Hmm.
people, but I do know, um,
Right.
black men especially. We do not like being corrected in public.
Right.
It's. I think it probably does have something to do with our history, especially in this society, and how a lot of times grown men, who were older than the person who was trying to correct them, uh, were corrected in public or um, emasculated in
Hmm.
public, talked down to, called boy and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
I think, and this is a good segue into the fact that things actually can be transferred
Hmm.
through the generation,
Right.
and it has nothing to do with bloodline. It's a I want to. It's a couple ways to talk about this because you can talk about it as far as familiar spirits for
Hmm.
one, and some of the struggles, and this is one reason why I was honest with you about some of my struggles because, or some of my struggles at that time because if I would not have told you, then they would have became yours.
Right.
And I did see some of those past struggles of mine become yours,
Hmm.
but not to the magnitude that it was with me.
Right.
So I believe by being honest with you, by telling you and sharing with you the honest to God truth about, listen, this is not the way to go. It didn't have such a detrimental impact.
Right.
Proverbs says this. Here we go with Proverbs again. Proverbs tonight. Amen, everybody. So hold on. I had it. Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3, 3 and 1. And I don't know if you ever remember this, but I used to tell you to read this.
Mm.
He
I
says,
remember.
so you do remember.
I do remember.
My son,
Hmm.
forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments.
Yeah.
For length of days and long life and peace
Hmm.
shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about your neck, write them on the tablets of your heart, so that thou shalt find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Then it goes into the trust in the Lord. But this is a father talking to his son and telling him, listen, I know you may not believe I know what I'm talking about. And I know you had some of those times where you're like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. And no, Dad, this is my friend, and these are my buddies, and they wouldn't do me like that. And I'm like, son, no, don't do it, don't do it, Caroline. Um, so, um, but trust wisdom. That it is my message that I would like to convey. Is to trust wisdom. Wisdom is not age.
Nope.
Yeah, wisdom is not age, and wisdom is not gray hair. This is not a sign of wisdom. This is a sign of old age because I got older. But wisdom is not only me learning from my mistakes,
Mhm.
but it's also applying the new effort, the new thing that
Right.
I need to do with what I've learned.
Right.
So there's a saying that says knowledge is power.
Mhm.
That's actually a lie. Knowledge is not power.
Right.
Applied
Yeah.
knowledge is power. Because just because I know that if I take this plug and put it into the socket, it doesn't make the light come on.
Right.
It's when I apply it. Come on. All right. I'm gonna go on. All right. So here we go. Last thing I want to talk about is prayer. So contending for your son. So you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to get through these situations, build the foundation again. Very important. And I feel, and I could be wrong. No, I'm not wrong. I just feel like the church, and I was just talking about the church in its totality, has slowly moved away from prayer.
Mhm.
And I think it's because it's boring.
Mhm.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
I don't. It's boring. Prayer is boring. And you don't know if
Right.
it's going to actually work.
Yep.
And what if it doesn't happen? And
Mhm.
I prayed before and nothing happened. But I'm reminded of Hebrews 11:1.
Mhm.
Hebrews, because that's why you should
All right.
next to go. Okay, all right.
Yep. I knew it.
Hebrews 11:1. It says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Listen, he even goes so far to tell you that the world which we see now was made by what we don't see. So, how important? What message would you say? Um,
My politician time. I got you. Hold on. Camera one. No.
why is prayer important? What is so important about prayer?
I think of prayer like an investment. You see, and I mean it's yeah, as simple as it is. It's an investment. You're investing your time, your faith into something you don't even know it's gonna happen. And just like in the stock market, you can say you can check the trends, you can check everything, you can write it off and everything looks right, everything looks good, and then it could go absolutely left. But your investment with God is different. It's not going to be uh, um, a return on paper. It's not going to be off of the trends of the stock market. It's more so of is your faith really invested? Is it really something that you're? Hey, it's like when you go to work. It's
Mhm.
just like when you're at work. You put these hours in on this timesheet, and you're like, hey, my check should look like this. Now, I don't. You don't want on your calculator app. I mean, every time I get a first check at any job, I go in the calculator first. I'm like, okay, so I get how many hours this week? Okay, yep. And then I forget about taxes, but that's different. But because I mean, you want big numbers. You don't want small numbers. You don't want anything that doesn't look right. So the way that prayer works and the way that we have to think about prayer is it's going to save me for tomorrow. It's going
Mhm.
to help me for a rainy day. Just like you have money saved for a rainy day, it's the same way you have prayers. They whether you pray. Hey, tomorrow I need it to snow, Lord. I need it to be a downpour because you don't want to go to work. Whatever you decide to do, but it is just because you want it to be for tomorrow does not mean it's going to have a set return time. And
Mm,
that's what we have to understand. Like you said, the things that we see now is not. It wasn't made by people that we see now. Buildings. Like you'll never meet the builder of this house, of your house. Most nine times out of ten, unless you built it yourself. So it's not that the house isn't there because you didn't meet the person. You haven't. They have invested this into the community. So you have to understand that your kid might be cutting the food today, but one of these days they're gonna have some get right because of that prayer you prayed 3 months ago. You never know when your return on investment is gonna happen, but you have to trust the process. That's it's
gotcha.